So I want to share with you about the Bible college experience. The first part that I had shared was more or less, the good times and the not so good times there. But, even though this video doesn't have any spiritual significance or anything for anybody, I mean, it's just one of those things that, the good times that you remember. I mean, like I had said in the other video, maybe you have good times, you know, in memories of your past as well that you recall. So, if you care to watch, I recall at the Bible college, we had to walk down the hill for some classes, and it was like one the female dorm was here, the male's dorm was like up here. It's hard to say, you know, the female dorm here, the male dorm here, and the mess hall was right here where we ate. And then we had to walk all the way down the hill to our classes. Some classes were there, some were in the mess hall because there were various rooms in that mess hall. And so in the morning after breakfast, we would head to our classes. And where some of the classes were, the chapel was there too. I think, yeah, the chapel was in another building. So we would go there, I believe, on Sunday nights sometimes, and then on Wednesdays. I don't remember if it was every day. Some of the people I went to college with there would remember that. But, I recall, chapel days. No one lifted their hands, not like, worship that we're used to. Some people worship their hands and surrender to God. And I remember coming home to visit, some of the people lifted their hands, and I did the same, and I came back to the college and did that, and some people looked at me while I did, and I was like, okay. But, I recall in the mornings, the breakfast, they had different things. They had scrambled eggs, fried eggs, they had sausage links, they had chocolate chip muffins, which I loved. They had different kinds of cereal, and they had like a soda machine there, and it got to the point where I stopped drinking that and just drank water, and I slimmed down a lot. But I recall in the guys' dorm, and I think it was in the female dorm as well, that on one side of the building there was like a prayer room. I think it was on each of the levels, and on the other side of that was a study room. Had a long table people could sit at and do their work. And there on the very bottom floor was the guys' lounge. And we used to sit down there, me and my friends, and watch movies. Man, I recall bringing like a few movies that I probably shouldn't have brought. One was 16 Candles. And I played that movie, and it got to that one scene where the woman was in the shower, and then one of the guys got up and shut it off, and apparently they reported me to the dean. So I had to go to the dean about that. And my friends laughed. But we used to go down there and watch Happy Gilmore, and we used to watch Mystery Science Theater 3000 and laugh. That was like late Saturday or into the early mornings, and some of us didn't get up for, church. And like I said in the other video, that there would be somebody from I don't know if it was the dorm director, who went into each room to check, and then they would report it to the dean. But I think a majority of my classes were down the hill. So I had to finish breakfast, head down there, and I don't remember some of the courses I had, but in the chapel building, there was the chapel, and then they had, I believe, sound rooms. And I used to go there, and I used to play worship music on the piano and different other things. And I recall going down to the main street, and what we were in, the school was in Sussex, New Brunswick, Canada. So once here was the chapel, and if you go down further, there was the main street. And if you took a left, I think eventually you would end up at Tim Hortons. And that was like America's Dunkin' Donuts. And I honestly thought they were better than Dunkin' Donuts. They had some good hot chocolate and good donuts there. And I recall in the guys' dorm, they had, here was the guys' lounge, and behind it there was a room that was a weight room. And I used to go in there and I used to work out like, I think every other day. And I would have a jug of water. So while I was working out, I used to have my clothes in the dryer. So I figure, why not kill two birds with one stone there? And the guys' showers were something. I mean, I would not feel comfortable laying my clothes on the sink. They had various sinks in the bathroom. They had the urinals, and then they had the regular, toilet bowls you would sit at. And I used to put my clothes up, when you close the shower, the curtain on top of it, between, the top and the top of the curtain rod, I used to put my clothes up there so that once I would dry off, I can put my clothes up in the shower because I didn't feel comfortable being naked around anybody. So that's what I used to do. And then a few of my friends jokingly took my clothes and towel and they put them somewhere. So it was just one of those experiences. But it was just real good times. I don't know if I mentioned it in the first video, but I know that one of our friends worked in the kitchen and they used to get chicken strips when we had them, that evening. And they would bring like a whole bunch to my friend John and Ben's room. And we used to sit in there and laugh, and they would dare our friend Adam to, drink hot sauce, and he would drink it and he would run out the room and run into the bathroom. And we found him in the bathroom with his mouth under the water faucet. Man, it was such good times, man. I honestly miss my friends there. I really do. And it's kind of saddening that I don't know if I will be able to see them again, except in heaven. I hope it's not going to be that long. But, it's not easy to be able to do that when a lot of them have families. Perhaps when the kids get older, you can meet up together. So I don't know if I can really remember too much. I think I more or less covered everything. I mean, I spoke about the chapel. I spoke about the guys' dorm. I spoke about the mess hall. Oh, and then they had the regular lounge for the guys and the gals. That was between the mess hall and the guys' dorm. So we would go in there and we'd watch different movies. I used to bring, since I went there, I brought a whole bunch of my movies. Of course, that was VHS at that time. And I remember putting King of Kings in, and I thought, that was such an awesome movie. And it was hilarious. My friend John, he was like, he was, we were watching that one part at the beginning where John the Baptist was, being asked by the Pharisees, are you the Christ? He says, I am not. And so John made made them sound like Abbott and Abbott Costello. Say, wait a minute, are you Elijah? It's hilarious. But I remember we used to watch The Simpsons in the lounge, and then this one dude in there that was like religious. They used to call him Sparky. He come in there, he says, I question anybody's salvation who watches The Simpsons. And my friend John was quick with the rebuttal. I mean, he was like, right when Sparky said that, John was like, well, maybe watching Simpsons is my downfall, and maybe judging is yours. And I remember the lounge, too, that there was mailboxes for each of us. And there I used to get, like, letters from my internet girlfriend. I think it was probably, like, every week. And it just, man, it sucks that things happen the way they did. I don't know if things would have been different if we would have ended up together. But God had a plan, and you can't expect something to have God's blessing if there's any kind of secrecy. And she didn't want to tell her mom and stepdad about us. Maybe it was because of the age difference at that time. But, it's just so many good times. And in the lounge as well upstairs, there was the school store. I remember getting a couple of sweaters from the store as a memento. And of course, I wore an extra large at that time. I couldn't fit into that for the life of me now. But I remember it was really cold up there. And I think it was a lot colder than it was where I'm living now. And, I mean, you definitely needed a sweater. And there was like one time, the wind was like blowing really hard. And my friends were looking out the dorm window. So I got down on the ground and was like pretending like the wind was blowing me back, like keeping me from walking. So I'm like crawling on the ground and they're like laughing. Man, it's just a shame that I don't really remember too many things. The whole year I was there, and this is all I could remember. I think a majority of my time I used to be in my room studying. I remember on my wall, I had this picture of Jesus and this little girl, and she was asking him, what happened to your hand? I remember that poster. You could probably find that, online. But I had a postcard up there. I had, I think, my school schedule. I had my schedule of when I was going to study, when classes were. I had my CDs up there. I had my radio up on the shelf. I had, at that time, the CDs I had was Jars of Clay, their first album. I had Third Day's Conspiracy Number 5. I had DC Talk's Supernatural CD. I had Handel's Messiah, the whole album. I would play that while I was studying, so I could listen to music and do my work. I can't do that now. I got to have it like really quiet if I was to work on my book. So I was trying to think, and I can't really remember anything else. If I remember anything else and I have enough information, maybe I'll create a third video about it. I mean, like I said at the beginning, I don't have any. This doesn't have any like spiritual significance for anybody. Nothing people can learn from. It's just a reminiscing of, that good time that I had. So I'm going to end it here. Thank you for taking the time to watch.